Hey y'all, I'm Romania and welcome to My Story for Its Glory. Real life meets real deliverance on My Story for Its Glory. So tonight, y'all, we're going to talk about a truly real life issue. It's something that happens a lot, okay? And if you're not aware of it, then you probably need to become aware of it because it happens right in our homes, okay? When we send our children upstairs, okay, because we're having some adult time, things like this happen. And even, it can happen so many ways. But what we're talking about tonight is when children abuse children, okay? It happens, y'all. And we're not just talking about physical abuse, because I'm sure that happens too. It does happen. But we're talking about sexually abused children and how that thing can turn and that child can begin to sexually abuse. And one thing that I always think about, especially with My Story for Its Glory, because sometimes we talk about some really intimate things, things that people wouldn't ordinarily share, but we share them here because we're trying to get people to be aware of what's really going on. We want healing and deliverance to take place. And that's why we talk about these types of issues, okay, that we're going to talk about tonight. One thing I want us to be aware of when we start watching this and she starts sharing her story is I want you to think back, okay, on your own life. Go back in your own past and think about some things that may have occurred in your life, okay? Because we're always pointing fingers at people, especially people that rape, people that pedophiles, murderers, so on and so forth. But remember this: sometimes something happened to them. And that's what I want us to understand. If we can catch it before it happens to them, there's so many things we can prevent. Isn't that right, Kanisha?
That's right.
Okay, so I think I said enough. So I want her to go ahead and just share a little bit about what happened to her.
Well, in my younger years, when I was about 8 years old, one of my family members who was a few years older than me would make me straddle them. They would bribe me, to straddle them often. And they penetrated me. And that thing is embedded in my mind because to think about it as an 8-year-old, and this person was a little older than me, and they were developed. Mm-hmm. So that is embedded in my mind, that thing, that really hurt me. I didn't like it at all. And it stuck with me for a while. But then I became the aggressor. Then I started doing the same thing with family members of mine that were younger than me. Mm. And I grew up with that thing, but I guess it was suppressed because I didn't think about what I did to the family members that were younger than me. I only held on to what the family members that were older than me, I only held on to what they did to me. But it was a few years ago, probably several years ago, where one of my family members came to me and they let me know that it was told to them by one of the ones that I abused. They told this person what I did to them and how they felt about it. And that made me aware, wow, you can't talk about what somebody did to you. Mm. You're hurt. Well, Lord forgive me. I don't want to say I hate this person, but I really don't like them. I don't like being around them. And I'm just being honest because I'm still holding on to what they did. But I didn't realize that somebody somewhere was still holding on to what I did to them. And when this one family member came to me and told me that it was told to them, I'm like, wow, I have somebody somewhere hurting. Mm. But I kept forgetting about that. I kept, just putting it in the back of my mind and only thinking about what was done to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But recently, just a few days ago, I had to go to that person And I had to ask them, please forgive me. And I couldn't say if I did anything to you that hurt you, because I know what I did.
That's right.
And I asked them, please forgive me. I know I hurt you. I know what I did to you. Can you forgive me?
And what did
And
they
said they forgave me, but the look on their face, and I guess that may be because they were dealing with other things at that time too. They really didn't look like they really forgave me. So I'm like, can I have a hug? And when they hugged me, this hug was just so tight, and I could tell that he really forgave me. And he had a sigh of relief. He was like, ah. And I know that was years of torment that he probably felt, because I know the torment that I felt from that happening to me. So I know that released a whole bunch of pain and demonic spirits from him, and also from me as well. And he even allowed me to cry on his shoulder. Wow. I broke down, and he held me tight while I cried on his shoulder. The one who I hurt.
So the healing began, huh?
Yes.
But not just for him,
yes,
but
for
you
me.
too.
Yes.
For you too.
I felt free, and I could tell that he felt free.
Just by, and this is something that people need. Whenever we need to, we need to go back, okay, and let people know, I'm sorry. You know what? I was young. I was whatever, but own it, okay? I did this to you. And I'm sorry. People need that. They need to be affirmed that you hurt me.
Yes.
That thing hurt.
That's all
okay?
it takes sometimes.
And I need for you to own that and tell me that you're sorry.
Yes.
So that I can heal. It's so important for us to go back and do that. And I commend you. I commend you. And I commend you for just being bold enough to come out here and say, this is what I did. Yeah, that's what happened to me, but I was wrong. And this whole time you was holding all this anger and this bitterness towards someone else and didn't know that there was somebody else hurting just as bad. And you know what? And if it's a man, men are different from women. They process things differently from us. And for a man to walk around with that kind, that's something. And for him to hold you and allow you to release that so that he could, that's just God, y'all. And so, when she came to me and she said that, God told her that it was time for her to tell this thing. And she wasn't comfortable with doing it, but she chose to use my story for His glory. And we promise to honor it and to cherish that you were bold enough to step out and say, I messed up. Now, let me ask you this, Demetra, because some people may be thinking, well, is she a pedophile? Now, I don't have my words in front of me, but a pedophile is someone who is sexually attracted to children. Okay? Kanitra, are you sexually attracted to children?
No. I like
Look
men.
in that camera.
I need a man of God, but I like men, not children.
Okay, that's right. Because I want to make sure that that's clear, guys. She is not a pedophile, okay? A lot of sexual abuse is learned, okay? And I have to be honest and upfront as well. We had kissing cousins. When I was coming up, okay, in my family, that's the reason why my story for His glory was birthed, is because of the things that I went through. Okay, I went through things myself, and I did things that I shouldn't have done. But it was in my family, that's how we did things. It wasn't, it wasn't difficult for my cousin to come get in the bed with me when he wanted to and use me how he wanted to use me. Okay, so it wasn't hard for me to go and bump and grind on another one too. It happens.
Right.
It happens. So I want to make sure that people know. Look in your homes, guys.
Right.
Look at what's going on in your homes. Because of the things that happened to me, I was very, very aware of my oldest daughter and what was going on and who was around her. Almost to the point where I was paranoid. It wasn't healthy, okay? Mm-hmm. But one thing that I can say is I made sure that she was not out there without being educated on what people do, and that it doesn't matter whether they're family or not. If they have found a way in, because it's usually someone that your child is close to, someone that is a friend of the family, someone that they feel they can trust and let their guard down and they get in, y'all. It's called grooming. Okay? Grooming means that they're preparing them for what's next. Okay? And what's next is for them to use them for their own self-gratification. Okay? And so I know that I was big with that on her. But like I said, it wasn't healthy because I was so paranoid because of what I went through. And anybody could say anything to me about family. That was the worst thing you could say to me because it was always family or friends of the family. Come over here, sit on my lap. You know what I'm saying? I learned that that's what you do.
Smack you on your bottom.
That's what you do. You let him use you that way. Okay? And in some instances, you may have, now I know that in your experience, when you say straddle, you also said that this young boy penetrated you.
Yes.
Okay? Which means you lost your virginity to your family member. And I want you guys to think about that. You think about when you lost your virginity, how you lost it. Did you choose to lose it? Did you freely give it away, or was it taken from you? Because it was taken from her. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that we need to look in our own homes, in our own families. And I'm not saying being paranoid about everything, but we need to educate our children. Okay? Because there are predators out there. And as we mentioned before, they're grooming our children. They develop relationships with them. Okay? And it starts young. And so if that child was abused by someone else, they learn that. And they can actually move on to abuse. And also what I found too is that if we look at a lot of pedophiles, a lot of them were abused. Now when I say pedophiles, we're talking about people who are sexually attracted to children. There's a big difference. Okay? She was a child when this happened. A child. 8, 9, 10 years old. Okay?
11 and 12.
11 and 12. Okay? A child. As a grown woman, she's not interested in a child at all. I just want to make sure that that's clear. Okay? My goodness. So I hope, that at least, we made you guys aware. We opened your eyes to what's going on around us. Okay? Now, one thing that I do want you to say is to speak a little bit on how do you feel now? How do you feel?
Right now, I feel delivered. I feel freed. I feel relieved when it comes to what I did. I feel relieved because I can finally admit that I did it. I finally apologized to at least one of them anyway. I tried to apologize to another one because it was more than one. But he pretends that he don't remember. But I know that he does. But I don't have to, that's not a secret of mine. That's not something that can hinder me because I'm holding on to regret or, feeling low because I did that to someone. Now, what I feel about what happened to me, I need prayer for it because I need to forgive, just like I want to be forgiven.
That's right.
But I do still feel hurt, about
and that's understandable. It's understandable when we go through things like that. Yes, it's a normal thing to be hurt, to be angry, to be frustrated, and to act out. And I think about your story because, like I said, I've read some excerpts from your book, and I know you've been through so much. And so, do you think that because of how you were exposed to it and the hurt and the anger that was inflicted upon you, that maybe you think that it impacted you in a sense where, thank you. impacted you in a sense where if you hadn't have been exposed to it, a lot of that maybe your life would be a little bit different.
I do think that.
You know, and I'm not going to give y'all, tell you a whole bunch of her story. You're going to have to get the book, okay?
Right.
And again, it's coming out in December 2018. What's the name again?
Damaged but not beyond repair.
Okay, Damaged but not beyond. And you know what? I see that we have a question. We have a question.
At what age would you talk to your children about something like this?
I'll say probably 6, 5.
Yeah. You know what? And I would say, honestly, even before then, when they're able to identify their body parts,
oh yeah,
you tell them what the real names are, and we let them know that no one's supposed to be touching you here. And if they're bathing you, it should be mommy and dad. I mean, grandma, that kind of thing. And then it should just be bathing you,
right.
So we want to make sure that our children are educated. And we start young. The last event that we had SCAR Global up here. And SCAR, is the movement, and it's about those that have been sexually abused. And I want to encourage you, again, to go on that website, and we'll post that information up there for you so that you can go up there and you can get help, you can get information, and you can get in contact with people that are actually working with people that are dealing with things like this. But yes, educating our children. And as a matter of fact, the movement, they're actually looking to push change in legislation where they can bring sex education into the schools as far as what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, because we talk about how to put a condom on, right? And how not to get pregnant or how not to get an STD, but what's appropriate, who should be touching you, where should they be touching you? Those things we need to be educating our children on as well, right? So again, it's called 757 SCAR Global, and that's on Facebook, and they got lots of good information up there. So I encourage you to go up there, and of course, you can contact us too. Okay, we got another question. All right.
What advice would you give someone that's either in or was in a similar situation?
Okay, the question was, what advice would we give someone who is either in or was in a similar situation? I want you to answer that.
If they're in that situation
and wait
now,
a minute, Kenitra, I want you to speak right to that camera. Talk to that person.
If you are in that situation now, or you know somebody that is in that situation now, the only thing I could think of, first of all, is to tell you, don't allow them to tell you what to do. The predator, the abuser. Don't do what they ask you to do. If you've been doing it, stop it. Tell somebody. Don't be afraid to tell somebody. Sometimes a lot of times they'll tell you, if you tell, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that to you. Tell somebody. They can help you. We as parents, as caregivers, school officials, whoever, if you're coming in contact with children, that's something too that we know what we need to be better about relating to the youth. Okay, so that they have someone that they can go to and talk to. And the worst thing, oh my God, is for a child to come to you and to say, "This is happening to me." And we don't believe them. And that's what I was going to say.
Oh
Don't
my
knock
God.
them down.
That's the worst thing. Mothers, fathers, come on, we got to get that. I don't care if you have the child that lies rivers, okay? When your child comes to you and says something like that, you receive that thing,
right.
okay? Then you go do your due diligence.
That's
Okay?
right.
If you're dealing with that kind of child. But receive it. Acknowledge it. And you go out and you do your homework and you handle your business with that child because they need that. Oh my God, I can't express to you how it hurts for you to tell it. Because it takes a lot of courage to
That's
get
right.
up there and come against that person. Because remember, we're talking about grooming. Okay? A lot of these children have been groomed. And so this is a person that they highly respect. And in a lot of ways, they fear. Okay? And so when they muster up the courage to go and say, this is happening to me, we got to take action. We got to affirm them. Okay? Let them know that you can always come. I tell my children, you tell me. Tell me. Because I'm going to believe you. I got your back. Okay? That's so important. That's the worst thing that a parent can do.
That's what I'm gonna say. Believe them, even if, like she said, even if they're the biggest lie ever, even if it is a lie, believe them until you find out that it is a lie. Never tell them they're lying.
That's
to you.
right. That's right. Okay, we got another question. Fita.
What are the signs that your child may be being abused?
You know what? In the last show, you know what? That kind of boils down to knowing your child.
Yes.
You know, we got to have good relationships with our children. We got to know our children. We have to, sit down and talk to our children so that we know when something's a little different. But I mean, of course, some of the basic signs and symptoms would be changes in their attitude, behavior, withdrawn, secretive,
promiscuity.
Oh my God. Yes. And a lot of the young people that I've talked to who have been abused, that's one of the main things they said. The next step was promiscuity. They became very promiscuous and started doing things that was out of character, and it kind of took them down a long dark path. So that is a key sign that something is going on. But really, we got to know our children. We got to have good, open communication with our children. That's so important.
That's very important.
I think there was another question. Okay, that was the question. Okay, good. So I'm hoping again that we were able to shed some light on this very, very dark and hidden issue. Because it's hidden. Everybody knows about it, but we keep it secret, and it's understandable because nobody wants to deal with it. Nobody especially wants to think that that's in my home.
Right. This
is going on when I put my kids to bed. Things like this are going on. Or when I have to go out and I leave them at home. Things like this are going on. Not saying it's in everybody's house because it's not. But it can be in yours. Okay? And so you want to educate your children, okay, on how to protect themselves.
And watch how you allow them to go to other people's houses. Friends' houses, I don't care who it is. Really.
Okay. We have another question.
I know you said that you feel free because you've been forgiven. Have you forgiven the person that abused you?
No. And that's what I was
Let
saying.
me ask the question to make sure they can hear it. The question was, she stated that she was free, that she felt free because she's been forgiven. But has she forgiven the person that abused her?
And that's what I was saying. I really need God to help me with that. But it's mostly because that person have not acknowledged that they did that to me. Even when I told that it was done to me, I told my mother. And my mother approached the situation. And when she did, the person that she told, the family member that she told it to, came and fussed me out and told me that I was lying. And those family members that did that said that I was lying. And so,
So is it going to take for that person to acknowledge it in order for
I hope not. I don't want to live my life waiting for them to come apologize to me, for me to forgive them. No.
In situations like that, I know it's hard. That's difficult to let go, but that we got to give it to God.
Right.
We got to. You can't do it on your own. And something that she mentioned as far as the apology is so important. When you find out that you wronged a person, that you go back and you ask for their forgiveness. Because that's all some people need. But y'all, on the other side, for us to be free, because you said that you feel free now that he has forgiven you. But true freedom is going to come when you... That's right. That's right. That's right. We got another question?
How do you handle when you tell your parents or someone and they don't believe you?
Oh, God. The question was, how do you handle it when you tell your mom or your dad and they don't believe you, or that person that you confide in or that you trust, and you tell them and they don't believe you?
I think I would say maybe that's why school counselors are in place. That would be something to go. If you can't tell your family members, or if you tell them, your parents or whoever, and they don't believe it, tell your school counselor. Maybe somebody's going to get in trouble. Somebody's going to get in trouble. But, hey, you have to be free of this thing, because it can follow you all of your life. I don't like looking at every time I see a man with children. And men aren't the only ones who do these things.
That's right. That's good.
But I do want to say that, because I keep talking about men. It's happened to me with girls, but I think it probably mainly messed me up with that family member that penetrated me. Because I remember how they would make me do that, and it hurt. So I think that's why it's always, when I think about that, even though it's been several people, that's the main one. I'm like, I don't like you because you did this to me. But when I look at men with little girls, I'm looking at them like, I wonder if he molesting her. I wonder if he's touching her. And don't let him kiss her, especially in the mouth. I'm watching with an evil eye. I know he probably molesting her. But you can't do that. You can't pin that on everybody. Everybody is not like that.
That's right. That's right.
But tell your school counselors. Tell somebody. I don't care if you had to tell everybody in the family. Tell somebody. Get help some kind of way.
And that's the thing. You've got to get help. You got to. You know, and it's so hard, as she mentioned. Somebody's going to get upset. But you know what? You're worth somebody getting upset. Your sanity, okay? Your life, your body. This is your temple. You should choose how it's used. You should. It's your choice. God gives us free will, and no one has the right to take that from you. This is your gift that God has given you to give to your mate. Okay, your husband. Okay? Your wife. And nobody has the right to take that from you. Get help. Tell someone. Trust me. You go to God and you pray about that thing, He will show you exactly where to go, because He wants you to get help. He wants you pulled out of that thing. Okay? Get help. You tell somebody.